The
Yeah,
reason
yeah.
why I wanted to dig into this topic too, because I know a little bit can be controversial as far as this battle between indie and AAA. And you see that's like what was the there was some right before Baldur's Gate 3 came out, there was somebody that posted something, some other developer basically not like talking crap about Baldur's Gate because they're like, don't ever expect games like this. This isn't a development. And it was such like a what do you mean? This is what we should be expecting from developers. We should be expecting a lot more work and time and energy, especially from a AAA. Indies, and this isn't necessarily an indies versus AAA type of thing, but just the mentality between people that work for AAAs, and then they have this type of thought where they're like, no, you deserve a subpar product. Just expect more subpar products. That's what you should be getting as a consumer. And you're like, no. And I feel like the community is doing a decent job at starting to push back on that and not just swallow every piece of garbage that they send down our throat.
Yeah, the crypto I gotta say though, like, gamers as a whole, we need to be more, frugal with our wallet.
True.
When we're just dumping money into these things, and then they that's all we are to them.
It's true. No, I mean, because they trying to think of a really good example. I think
You
we've
you
done,
mentioned you mentioned Baldur's Gate 3, and that yeah, that was a pretty good game, and, a lot of people say they did everything wrong before launch,
it's true.
but, I mean, look at them now.
So true. Or even like Elden Ring, like, I've obviously been playing that series since like Demon Souls. And even Demon Souls had mixed reviews early on and had
Oh,
good,
yeah,
but
people didn't like it.
it was too hard. Like that was the issue with Demon Souls, and people found it
Yeah, it
too
was
hard.
really difficult.
But they kept at it, and all of a sudden now Elden Ring comes out and it's like the greatest thing to slice bread. And it's like, but what's interesting about Elden Ring and why I think it's such a success is like there's outside of DLC, like additions, expansions, if you will, it was a that was only a $60 game if I'm right when it first came out.
Yeah, 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 and I think where you're going with this, and I'm gonna agree with you 100%, it was complete. When the
Yeah,
game launched, it felt like it was complete. No, it didn't feel like anything was missing. A lot of games nowadays that come out, you play them and you go,
it had
"Something's
meat
not
on the
right."
bone. It had a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah, yeah.
meat.
Yeah, yeah. There was a full plate of ribs, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Absolutely. Total full plate of beef ribs, big beef dinosaur ribs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
and so like that's the thing, and like going back to what how we kind of gotten onto this topic of just this AAA versus indie thing is like I feel like a lot of the momentum is going to be shifting into this indie pool, which is good because you're going to have your dollars spent have more impact than dollars spent on a AAA.
Yeah, 100%. And remember, speak with your wallet, people. If you enjoy a game, support it. If, if you don't just buy into the hype. That's something that I've noticed a lot too. People buy into this hype about a game and then they feel disappointed when it comes out and doesn't deliver. Like you were sold an experience, not a game.
Yeah. What was that? I can't remember that Capcom game that came out that had a ton of hype behind it and ended up just more or less flop. No, I wouldn't say it flopped because people bought it. Oh, but it got thrashed because people didn't expect it to have microtransactions. Even though you could ignore the microtransactions, they had them in there. What game was that?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I played that game. I bought that game.
You did buy it?
I got duped.
You got bamboozled?
I got bamboozled. And then, I played it and I tried to, I didn't want to feel bad about my purchase. So I played it for a bit. Then, oops,
What was it called again?
no
Dragon something?
refunds. Dragon's Dogma 2.
Uh, that's right. Another
Yeah,
$70 game
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that then they throw microtransactions in the mix and you just go, even though you can
Well,
ignore them, just the audacity to say,
well, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, Capcom's been really guilty of that. I like their games, but they love to sell these character edit passes. What's up with that?
but it's sad because this is exactly what you're talking about as far as like, being more frugal, the player base being more frugal. And it's like they wouldn't put it in there if people didn't spend the money on it. You know what I mean? At least I feel like that's true. I feel like that's a true statement. Like if people would just not spend the money on it, then it'd be like, well, why are we spending all this time making this, DLC or not DLC, but a microtransaction if no one's even spending any money on it? But they must have a mechanism to where people are actually spending money on this stuff. And
Oh yeah, they speak for themselves. I mean, people are definitely spending money on these games, and until the people speak up, nothing's gonna change.
Yeah. And so that I guess that's kind of like the essence of troublemakers too. I mean, like not only is it troublemakers the game, but it's almost like an embodiment too of how we feel as a dev team, like kind of stirring things up, being a little bit of
Mhm.
a troublemaker ourselves and trying to kind of push up against this stuff. I understand like people are going to be like, who are these guys? They haven't even come out with a game yet. But yet I don't think people understand like we've been in this community for a long time, and we have seen the trends and the way things have gone, and it finally is one of those things where it's like, "Screw it, we're gonna make our own stuff," because we feel so betrayed on the way things have gone and these triple A's and what they've done, and so, in a way, I feel like if you're interested in, like, getting troublemakers, you almost embody the troublemaker spirit. You're like,
Yeah,
I am a troublemaker," you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Make trouble. And like the thing about it is, we're never gonna demand your time, but we'll appreciate it.
It's true.
I think
It
that sounded pretty good.
that sounded really good, Nicole. That was actually probably one of your best lines ever.
Yeah, 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 yeah. 100%. Yeah. With troublemakers, I want people to know that you know eh, things can be different. You know, I hope that goes through with when the game goes live, people really feel that. You know, that we appreciate you and any community we form or get on troublemakers. I want them to feel valued.